Hey guys, Jack Rose here. So today I saw a video that federal gun laws being what they are should probably land a few people in prison. Supposedly, it's an attempt to illustrate the gun show loophole. Now, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. I'm not going to get the wording 100% identical to how the Cornell Law Library defines a legal loophole. But essentially, what a loophole is following the law, letter of the law, but still finding a way to get around it. Basically, acting in a way that the law would prohibit, but your actual actions are still within the letter of the law. Now, when it comes to firearms, there aren't a whole lot of loopholes. There really aren't. See, this gun show loophole is largely a myth, because a loophole requires that what you're doing is actually legal. It's still legal. Not supposed to do it, but still technically legal. That's a loophole. Supposedly, a guy takes this 13-year-old kid, could be 13, okay, he looks young, or he could be like me. I looked like I was 16 when I was in my 20s, and I got carded everywhere I went. Looked like I was 12 when I was 18. So, yeah. Could be 13, could just look young. You never see this kid's identification. And they take him to try and buy smokes and booze and lotto tickets and girly mags and all that shit. And he can't buy any of that stuff because he's not 18. Then they take him to a gun show. Supposedly, he's legally able to pay cash and walk out with a shotgun at a gun show. Well, here's the problem with that. It's a federal crime, if that's actually what happened. If a 13-year-old was able to walk into a gun show, and even in a private sale, buy a gun, it's a federal crime. He's a prohibited person. He's not legally allowed to purchase a gun because the federal law says you have to be at least a certain age to purchase certain types of guns. If you're purchasing it from an FFL retailer, you have to go through a background check. You have to provide identification for the background check. Attempting to purchase a gun when you're a prohibited person, and a 13-year-old would be a prohibited person, is a federal crime. Selling a firearm as an FFL retailer without a background check is a federal crime. Selling a firearm to a prohibited person is a federal crime. Selling a firearm as an FFL retailer to a person who is under the minimum age is a federal crime. What about unlicensed sellers? What about private party sales? Well, see, Uncle Sam has something to say about that too. And individual states have their own laws on this. Uncle Sam says you can't sell a handgun or a long gun to anybody if you have reason to believe that they are under the age of 18 as a private seller, as an unlicensed seller. Means you don't have a federal firearms license. So if you're an unlicensed seller, like me, if I was going to sell one of my guns, I don't have an FFL, so I'm an unlicensed seller. If I try to sell a gun to somebody that I have reason to believe is under the age of 18, and if they look 13, I have reason to believe that they're under the age of 18, then I've committed a federal crime. That's not a loophole. That's not a loophole. That's a crime. This video is out there. It's circulating around. Now, the actual gun sale, the footage is pretty heavily edited. I'd like to see the complete footage of the sale. I really would. And I think the ATF and the FBI should probably be really interested in seeing that footage also. I don't want to see this kid's life ruined because the adult that he was running around with put him up to this and convinced him that this was a good idea. Because the adult that's narrating the video says that this was done legally. Obviously, that adult is ignorant of the fucking federal laws that cover this issue. That's a huge problem. There is no gun show loophole, guys. There's purchasing a firearm legally, and then there's committing a federal crime. There's no gray area. You can feel free to argue all you want. Learn the laws. If you're going to argue the law, you need to know the law. If we enforce the law, I have a feeling we'll see a whole lot less of this. Most of these cases go unenforced. The vast majority of attempts to purchase firearms illegally go unenforced. That's a huge fucking problem. But I got nothing else. Unless I'm just going to start repeating myself. So I want everybody to have a great night. Be excellent to each other.